Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. So in this video, we're going to be doing a wig install on my mom's hair while I tell y'all how I quit my job, became a full-time entrepreneur, wig business owner, hair extensions business owner, and just a serial entrepreneur in general. So we're going to be doing a wig install on my mom today, and I am installing one of our glueless wigs, and I just want to share my story. I have never publicly shared my story in detail. I shared a little bit about it on Instagram, through different videos and posts, but I have never fully told my story and what I did to lead me up until this point. So I want to share this for any aspiring wig business owner, any aspiring entrepreneur, someone who's just looking for advice and ideas to help propel them to the next level. Because when I was thinking about quitting my job, I was definitely doing my research and looking around to get information on how I could take myself to the next level. So I'm just going to share some of the things that I did, and I hope this helps someone. While you're here, make sure you subscribe to our channel. This channel is about wigs, but it's also about entrepreneurship, and it's also about my lifestyle. So I'm going to be sharing a little bit of all of that. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can get more details if that sounds like something that you're interested in. Okay, so let's flash back to 2019. 2019 is the year that I started my business. My business actually kind of started in 2018 in December, but I made it official in 2019. So what I did was okay, let's flash back a little bit more before that. So I've always had a passion for doing hair. I've been doing hair since I was 12 years old. I started doing my own hair as a hair solution for myself because I was a glamour girl and my hair was pretty much on the shorter side. I had got a butch haircut in the 7th grade by my mom's beautician, and in retrospect, it did need to be cut, but it was really short for me to be in the 7th grade, and I just wanted to have a nice ponytail. So I started to learn how to do my own hair. I begged my mom to let me go to the beauty supply store so that I can get some tracks so that I can do a quick weave. Back then, they didn't call them quick weave, but it was basically like gluing the tracks in between your hair. I don't know if y'all remember that. So I started to do my hair like in middle school, and just looking for solutions for me to look nice all the time because my hair was on the shorter side, so it wasn't like cute ponytails that didn't look good on me because my hair was shorter. So I started to do quick weaves, and then eventually I learned how to braid. My granny taught me how to braid, and she taught me how to braid to the scalp. And then I don't really know, I just think it was a God's given gift that I knew how to do hair because YouTube wasn't around when I started to learn how to braid. And if it was, it wasn't accessible. Like I'm a millennial. I grew up in the 2000s, so computers and YouTube and all of that wasn't like accessible, and in the early 2000s. So I just felt like I would learn by watching people. I would see if we would go to the African braid shops. I would just watch different people do hair, and that's kind of how I learned how to braid, and just trial and error. So I really feel like it was a God-given gift because I never ever went to school to learn how to do hair. It's just something that I know how to do. I know how to braid. I know how to make stuff look nice. I know how to curl, and all of these skill sets I have learned along my journey. But braiding was the introduction to my entrepreneur lifestyle. It definitely showed me that you could do a service for someone and make money. Did hair all throughout school. So I did it in high school, and then eventually when I went to college, I did it in college as well. My goal in college was never to become a hairstylist or a wig maker or let alone an entrepreneur. I always knew that I was going to be successful in whatever I did because I was always naturally smart. I graduated high school at 16 years old. I turned 17 the first week of college. Being smart, I was encouraged to get a degree in biology because my initial plan was to become a pharmacist because my mom had some pharmacy friends, and she said, that's who making the money, so you should go try to be a pharmacist. I toured the TSU pharmacy school. That was like one of the main reasons why I picked Texas Southern University, because they had a pharmacy program, and I ended up getting a scholarship, but that's another topic for another day. But back to my entrepreneur journey. So I end up going to school, navigating through the school route, getting my degree in biology. And after getting my degree in biology, I end up just working like little side jobs. I worked at a hospice and realized that was not for me. And I'm like, what can I do with this biology degree? Let me just go and be a teacher. So that's what I decided. I'm like, with a teacher certification, you just have to pass the test at that time. You only have to pass the test. You didn't have to have a specific educator degree. So I decided that I was going to study for my certification test, pass it, and become a teacher. And that's what I did. So I became a teacher and I taught for a little while. So after teaching, that was cool for a while until it was, and I was like, yeah, I like teaching, it's cool, but I really didn't really like teaching children. I like the idea of teaching. I like the idea of me sharing information with somebody who never had learned that knowledge before, and I gave them a skill set that they would be able to take to the next level and, grow and expand. But I really didn't like the idea of teaching children, because with children, you have to deal with behavior problems and, just growing up, adolescent challenges, and all of the above. And I wasn't a fan of that. So I was still in education and trying to figure out, all right, what's my next move? So I decided to become a school counselor. I really enjoyed what I thought the school counselor did. I saw other school counselors and I thought that this career choice would be a great fit for what I was trying to do next, especially because I didn't want to really leave education. When you work in education, you get really spoiled. So you have summers off, you have vacation, you have a lot of time to do what you want to do. And for me, something that I wanted to do was to grow a business or work on a hobby, because working in education is cool, or working at a job is cool, but it gets kind of mundane. The everyday routine of working is, it gets mundane. You kind of like, okay, what's next? You looking for something more exciting. And so that's how I landed upon my next endeavor. So with me becoming a school counselor, I was looking for something to do. So I said, you know what? As an educator, you have a lot of time off. If you choose to work summer school, you'll have, a little bit of time where you making extra money, but then the second part of the summer you're off, or in the winter breaks you're off. So during this time, it's like, what are you doing with your extra time? And so I decided that I wanted to start something new. And my initial thought was, let me start a YouTube channel. So I started my YouTube channel. Well, I started to upload videos on my YouTube channel in 2018. It was called Elabella 411, and I was like, all the 411 information on beauty. I don't know exactly, but I started a YouTube channel back then. And my initial thoughts, instead of starting a wig business, was just I was going to make wigs. I was going to do product reviews or be a wig influencer. That's what they call the term now. But back then it wasn't called wig influencer. But I was going to do product reviews and, get hair from different suppliers, tell people if they were good, do hair reviews and stuff, because that's the type of stuff I was interested in watching. And also the stuff that I already was doing. I was already so obsessed with hair. I was already into doing my own hair and stuff. So I just wanted to document it and film it. So I decided that that's what I was going to do. So in the process of me doing that, I started to do my own wigs and make my own hair. And simultaneously, it worked out because I also had transitioned from wearing relaxed hair to natural hair. So I was looking for a hair solution anyway, because my hair was, transitioning. It was falling out. It was thin. So I said, let me start wearing wigs. And that's kind of how I got into the wig industry specifically. So although I had immersed myself into the wig industry, I hadn't started a business. I was basically just making wigs for myself and family. Honestly, for my sisters, I have 3 sisters, so I was making wigs for myself and for them and for my mom. But I wasn't really promoting myself or marketing or telling other people about it. I was just basically doing for myself. But I always did hair on the side. That's always been a side hustle that I've been having since high school. So my clients knew me for doing hair. Even though I wasn't making wigs and doing wigs, I was still doing sew-ins and quick weaves and all of that, until I had worked on my master's program. I'm hopping back and forth, but I'm just trying to give perspective. So when I was working on my master's program, I completely quit doing hair. I decided I cannot maintain doing hair and work on a master's. And at the time I was teaching too. So it was just too much. So I completely quit doing hair and I really never started back. I decided I was going to fully immerse myself into education and just be a school counselor. So that's what I was, focused on, just growing my career as a school counselor and moving up the educational ladder. So 2018 December, my sister's friend, I'll never forget her, shout out to Shaniqua, she basically brought me out of retirement. I was already doing wigs for myself. I was, showing what I was doing for myself online on Instagram, just showing my regular friends, telling them like, look at, I just did my hair, showing all this stuff. And she, reached out to me and asked if I could do a wig for her. She was like, she already had the hair. She wanted to see if I could make her a wig. And I was like, no, girl, I'm not doing hair no more. Like, I had quit. And she was like, please, like, make me a wig. I need a wig for graduation. She was graduating with her bachelor's, and she needed a wig. And so I was like, fine, and I let her convince me to make her a wig. And I'm like, all right, bet. So I made her a wig. And then right after I made her a wig, she was like, could you make my sister a wig? This was like a day apart or so. I can't really remember, but it was a close proximity. So I ended up making a wig for her sister. So boom, I had 2 sales back to back. I didn't even ask for them. They just kind of fell in my lap. But me making those 2 wigs, I realized how long it took to make wigs. When I used to do my own hair on the weekends and stuff, it was cool because I'm just doing for me. So it'll take 4 or 5 hours, but I ain't tripping because it's just, for myself. But thinking about making it for other people and have all this responsibility of fulfilling orders with time and stuff, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to do this. Like, I'm not going to be able to make wigs because it takes too long. I need to figure out a solution to be able to make them faster. And so, again, shout out to her. She did tell me she had been seeing things online where people was making wigs on the sewing machine, like as a solution. And I'm like, you know what? Let me look into that. Let me do some research. And that's what I did. I start looking on YouTube. I was seeing that people were making wigs on the sewing machine. And I decided to get a sewing. I was so impulsive. One weekend, I got a sewing machine. I got all my stuff. I asked my best friend to borrow her sewing machine while I waited on the sewing machine to come in. I got everything that I needed to get, and then I just taught myself basically how to use the sewing machine. I was blessed because I did have a coworker who was a seamstress. When I was a school counselor, her name was Miss Tori. Shout out to Miss Tori. She taught me how to set up my sewing machine, and from there it was up. So I learned that quick little lesson. It was after school one day. We was both cheer coaches, and she taught me how to set up my sewing machine. And I took what I knew about making wigs on hand and transferred that skill with what I, knew about the sewing machine based on my research and all the other stuff. And then I just started to practice and come up with my own recipe and formula of how I wanted to make these wigs on a sewing machine. Now, at the beginning, it was a lot of trial and error because I was making wigs for people and they were not the right size. They were not fitting properly, but they were better than hand-sewed wigs. They were still better. So it was, I was able to position myself like, get you a custom sewing machine made wig. It's going to outlast the hand-sewed stitch wig. It's going to look so much more professional, blah, blah, blah. And I really just started to get serious with the business. So in December, I learned, I had those 2 clients, and then January 13th is when I said, you know what, I'm gonna get serious with the business. I had wrote out like my strategies, my goals, and everything that I wanted to do to make the business a business. And so from there, I decided like, okay, let me, start marketing. So I started talking about it on Instagram, start, promoting it. And then things was just falling in my lap. It was some of my clients who I've had from back in the day when I used to do their hair, they started coming. And then just more word of mouth and, just me building it up through social media, through word of mouth, through friends and family, sharing and everything. And it just really took off and grew from there. So then the pandemic happened. Beauty shops were shut down and people were still wanting to get their hair done. And that's where I thrived in the pandemic because I offered like bring your own bundles. You got some old hair under the sink, you need a wig made, come to me, I can make you a wig. And and then the pandemic was like entrepreneur central. Like everybody was promoting entrepreneurship, and in the pandemic the world was shut down. It really gave me a real glimpse into what this could be and what I could do and what life could be as an entrepreneur, especially because when the pandemic came in the school district, the world was shut down. So we were home. So we were working from home as a school counselor, and I was able to grow my business because I wasn't at work and my job was like 45 minutes away from home. So I used to have a lot of commute time, but since I'm not having to commute, I'm not having to be at work all day, I could really like spend that time growing my business. And that's what I did. I started to promote myself heavily online. I started growing my email list. I started learning a lot about marketing and sales, and I just started to learn about business. I started getting into spaces where I could learn about like website development and just everything that really like took my business to the next level, to the point where when it was time to go back to work after the pandemic, it was so hard. Like I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna be able to do this no more. Like I cannot work. And that was so surprising for me because that's that was never the plan. Like, the plan was never like, I hate my job. I literally love my job. It was the best job I ever had. But when I got that taste of entrepreneurship, it was like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm going to have to go back to entrepreneurship full time, basically. Because when we work from home, it seemed like we was working, a full time entrepreneur. So after I went back to work, that was like I want to say in January of that pandemic year. I want to say that was 2021. Yeah, it was 2021. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to step out on faith. I must not sign my contract this year. And I told myself I could do it for 1 year. And if it doesn't work out, I always can go back. And I had a plan, y'all. I really had a plan. I had mapped out how many wigs I need to sell. And at the time, I was started teaching wig making classes. So I was like, how many wigs I need to sell? How many classes I need to teach? How many products I need to sell? I had expanded my product line. I had got inventory of hair extensions and everything. And I said, what do I need to do to make the same money that I'm making now or more? So I figured out how much money I was making. I figured out how much expenses I had. I had everything wrote out, and I had a clear strategy. I had money in savings, and I'm saying, okay, based on all of these factors, I need to make this amount of money. I need to have this for this expense. I need to have this amount saved just in case. And I had a plan, and I decided to step out on faith. I didn't sign the contract. I didn't go back to work, and I went full on fledged entrepreneurship, and it's been 4 years, y'all. Within these 4 years of me being a full-time entrepreneur, y'all, my life has literally transformed. It has been insane. Like, I have seen so much success with my business, and literally I feel like this just is the beginning. I'm learning so much more about entrepreneurship and learning so many new lanes, and I can't wait to share more of that with y'all and share how y'all can really grow your business and really make sustainable change and income for yourself. I have really made sustainable change, but this video is getting long, and I'm giving y'all the rest of this video to show y'all my mom's reaction of her hairstyle. But yes, if y'all want to learn more about how to grow your business, how to become a entrepreneur, full-time entrepreneur, whether that's a wig business or whether that's a hair extension business or any type of business, make sure you subscribe to our channel, because we're going to be coming back with more information. I hope y'all enjoyed my story, and drop in the comments some things that you would like to know about entrepreneurship. I haven't been able to tell the full story, but stay tuned for more.
Okay. Ready to ship. People that don't know how to curl, go on, put you some flex rods in there. And hey, you ready? This is cute. There we go. And it looks so natural. Okay. That's the thing. It looks so natural. Y'all see that? Natural. People be like, damn, is that her hair? You see how full and thick it look? Get you one of these.
Yeah, it look natural.
It look really natural.
All right, my work here is done. Okay, YouTube, and concludes.
You see that?
Put you in the claw clip.
Put you in a little claw clip. I'm gonna tell you it ain't yours, okay?
That concludes our install video. I don't know if y'all got a chance to see, but look, let's get into it. You see? Let's get into the lace given. It looks very natural and flawless.
Yeah. Take your time. Take your time. Y'all get it. Keep watching them videos, okay? If you haven't subscribed, please do.
Thanks.
Good night.